Ready or not, the holiday shopping season is here. With so many deal days going on, it's hard to know when the best time to buy really is.
Almost 80% of people are going to be actively seeking deals, looking for sales, and comparing prices from retailer to retailer.
Our expert saves us time and money with shopping secrets.
So say 25% or higher is usually in my sweet spot for deals. But, around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I am seeing that deals will be as deep as 50%.
And is skincare on your teen's holiday wish list? We break down why so many kids are obsessed with beauty products and how it can be harmful.
Anything that's focusing on appearance and ways to change our appearance, or the need to have to change our appearance to be acceptable, is really concerning.
That's today on Mom Squad. Everyone, I'm Maureen Kyle. Thanks for joining me on Mom Squad. Are you ready for the holiday shopping frenzy? Some people save up and they plan months in advance, but most people, including me, hope to hit up the sales and the discounts on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. In fact, retailers refer to certain days as the Cyber 5. This includes Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, and Cyber Sunday. Those 5 days make up more than 16% of U.S. holiday sales. Cyber Monday is usually the biggest online shopping day of the entire year. Last year, sales totaled $13.23 billion, which is a third of the spending that happens during the Cyber 5. And even though that's when we are spending our money, does that mean those days have the best deals? And how do you know if you're getting the deepest discounts on those days? Shopping expert Trae Bodge shared some insider secrets with me on how to save big this holiday season. Trae, thank you so much for joining us, because I always love to hear your take on spending no matter what time of year, but especially holidays. Do you feel like people get really stressed out around the holidays about when to spend and what to buy?
I do. There's a really interesting Bread Financial poll that just came out that consumers are really concerned about what's going on with inflation. Obviously, we are getting a break, but 89% of people are indicating that inflation is impacting how much they can spend. And the other stat that I thought was particularly interesting is that almost 80% of people are going to be actively seeking deals, looking for sales, and comparing prices from retailer to retailer. So what that means is that retailers need to be offering us something exciting in order for us to shop with them versus their competitor.
And do you think retailers are looking at like big discounts, or is it going to be something different? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a pretty exciting holiday shopping season in terms of deals. We did see an early kickoff in early October where we saw deep discounting going on across multiple retailers. There are going to be lots of sales rolling throughout the season, so consumers have to be ready.
Yeah. So what do you think? We always get very confused on, I always hear about like, wait for this item because that's when it goes on sale for Cyber Monday. Are there certain items that go on sale or get deeply discounted at different times throughout the holiday season, shopping season?
Yeah, so this month is interesting because, as I said, we do have those deals kind of popping up in the middle of the month. But here's the strategy that I will take and that I would recommend that your viewers take, is to focus on things like small home appliances, electronics, beauty, and fall apparel from now through Cyber Monday. Then in December, I would focus on toys and anything holiday themed, like holiday gift sets and such, and then winter apparel as well. So that's how I would break it out. And what's helpful is that making a list of your recipients, some gift ideas for each, can help you kind of divide and conquer.
Yeah. What about, and I always get stuck with this, where I see in my email inbox, a store that I regularly buy from or something that I'm kind of tracking, it says 30% off. And then I always question, because it's happened before where I take advantage of the 30% off and then a couple weeks later it's 50% off plus free shipping and I'm like, oh, I missed it, and so I tend to wait and then I risk that item being sold out. I think that's a struggle most people have throughout this month and a half looking at when to buy a certain item.
Yeah, so that when to buy and which discount to take advantage of is a tricky one because, like you said, those discounts change throughout the holiday shopping season. So there is something that I like to do. I like to use a tool like PayPal Honey installed on my laptop. So when I'm browsing, PayPal Honey will let me know if right now it's a high price or a low price. And if I see that it's a low price and it happens to be a sale at that time, I'll make my move. Something to keep in mind is that some retailers will credit you the difference if a lower price pops up later. And so that's something to look at as well. That sometimes happens with the bigger box retailers, but not everyone, of course. So the thing that I also look for is a discount that's significant. So say 25% or higher is usually in my sweet spot for deals. But, around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I am seeing that deals will be as deep as 50%. So it is a little bit tough to decide whether to move now or to wait.
Yeah. Is there any certain item, especially you mentioned toys and kind of waiting on toys? I have kids in the house. This is Mom Squad. A lot of people have kids in the house or grandkids. Mm-hmm. Is there a hot item this year or a couple hot items that you see being super popular, possibly selling out? I always think of that, decades ago, the Tickle Me Elmo phase where it was like people were, throwing elbows to get that one toy. Are we going to see anything like that?
I think anything attached to Wicked is going to be huge. And I think Barbie is still very strong as well, and anything superhero. So we're going to be seeing toys across multiple manufacturers popping up. That's, I think, what a lot of the kids are going to be looking for and putting on their lists. Now, those items will be available throughout holiday shopping season. We're not seeing a lot of supply chain issues right now, so I don't think there's necessarily a big rush. However, if your child wants a toy like that has been popping up on all the hot toy lists and it's available in certain colors and they want a certain color, that's something that I would jump on sooner rather than later. Otherwise, if it's a general toy and it's kind of available at all the big retailers, I think you're okay, and I would wait until December when the discounts are deeper.
Something else that keeps popping up in conversation, especially among my friends that have tween or teen girls, is the high ticket items that these kids that are as young as 11 or 10 even asking for, the high-end makeup or the Lululemon, or, they're asking for very high-end items. How do we go about finding discounts? And then is there a discussion that parents have to have with kids about, the price points of these more designer and luxury items?
Okay, so I love this question. I'm the mom of a teenage girl as well. Thankfully, she's more of a thrifter, so I never had to worry about those big ticket items. But lots of my friends are struggling with this right now. So what I would say is this. I would obviously look for sales and then make sure that you're using a deal site to see if there are additional coupons or cashback offers that you can pair with that sale. Coupon Cabin is really good for this. So you can search the retailer and see if maybe there's a coupon that can be applied on top of a sale. So that would be kind of step two. And then I think maybe most importantly of all is to set expectations with your kids. Let them know that you have a spending limit for the holiday. Whether you disclose what that amount is or not is your choice, but let them know, hey, I can only spend a certain amount. So if you want those Lululemon leggings, that's all you're getting this season. So that's what I think is really important, is to let your kids know, because otherwise they're seeing their friends with the fancy thing and they want the fancy thing, but maybe you don't have the means to buy the fancy thing, or it's kind of against your better judgment to buy the fancy thing. So I think it is really good to talk to them about that and set some limits around that versus, yes, honey, I'm going to get you everything that you want, and then you end up carrying debt into the new year, and that doesn't work for anybody.
Right. Let's play psychologist while we're on the topic, too. Something that we talk about probably almost every year is the emotional spending that adults have, where we want to make the holidays so special that we stretch ourselves beyond our means. Do you have any tricks going into the holiday season with spending, sticking to that budget?
Yes. So every recipient on your list should have sort of a budget range, so you have a sense of how much you're planning to spend in total. I do recommend adding yourself to that list and setting a spending limit for yourself, because as we're shopping for everyone else, we're shopping a lot more than we normally do, and so we're seeing a lot more than we normally do, and it's a very stressful time right now with the election and other concerns around the world, and so we might feel inclined to treat ourselves more than usual. But if you set a spending limit for yourself, you'll make a much more mindful decision when you are buying that maybe one or two special things for yourself for the holidays. It is a very tricky time because that shopping gives us that dopamine hit, right? It makes us feel better in the moment, but you're not going to feel better in January when that credit card bill arrives and you can't cover the whole thing.
Right.
So I think it's good to kind of take a pause and say, okay, I can only spend $50 this season on myself. That's it. And that's your treat. And we all deserve that, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's a trick that we all fall into, because the inbox shows, you know, the stores that we regularly shop for has all these sales. Is it better to take advantage of some of those sales after the holidays, like when things are now discounted, post-holiday shopping season? Where do we see those type of items going on sale the most?
Yeah, so that's another great suggestion, actually. If you can hold off buying for yourself until after the holidays, you're going to see those holiday clearance sales where the discounts will be really deep. And that's a great time to say, if you're going back to return something and then that sweater that you had your eye on is on clearance. The things that tend to be deeply discounted after the holidays are anything holiday themed will be deeply discounted as retailers are looking to clear that merchandise out. And also winter apparel. And then going into January, we see a lot of kind of new year, new you. So think of anything wellness, fitness related, those leggings that we talked about before. Those items will be more discounted after the holidays.
Oh my gosh. Trae, any other tricks that we need to know about as we do our holiday shopping?
Just take your time. There's no rush. We have weeks and weeks before the holidays come, and so we don't have to rush out there at the first sale. Make sure that you're organized as well, and then make sure that you're utilizing all those tools available to you, like your deal sites. Make sure that you're shopping with a credit card that gives you points. Sign up for loyalty programs. And actually, that's an important point to talk about when it comes to the whole holiday shopping season, is that retailers are going to be really leaning in on memberships, loyalty programs, because that's how they retain their consumers. And so there are going to be lots of extra bells and whistles, exclusive deals, advance notice for deals if you are signed up for those loyalty programs or memberships with your favorite retailers.
Oh my gosh, great advice. Yeah. Trae, as always, I love it. Thank you so much for guiding us through the crazy holiday shopping season.
Thanks so much for having me.
Coming up, you heard us mention how skincare is a big wish list item for tweens and teens. Why are they so obsessed? And is it healthy, both physically and mentally? We talked to a child psychologist about the driving force behind it. By now, you've probably heard the phrase Sephora tweens, referring to the trend that younger and younger kids are buying beauty and skincare products. Some of it isn't good for their skin, but there's an obsession to buy it and use it. It's probably even on a wish list of any tween in your life. Today, we talked to pediatric psychologist Krista Caldwell with Akron Children's about this trend. Tween skincare has been a really hot topic for over a year now, but as we're approaching the holidays, I feel like this is going to be on holiday wish lists for a lot of teens. But as a parent, I'm thinking, what is safe? So if you could, first of all, talk to me about just where is this trend coming from and why are little kids, not even tweens, but like we're seeing kids as young as 7 and 8 think that they have to have a skincare routine.
Unfortunately, right now, this is the hot topic on TikTok and on any social media platform that a lot of our young teens and young children are on. And we know overall social media is a huge driver of just overall body dissatisfaction in this population. And so anytime they're being presented with a solution of like, this is going to make you more approachable, more beautiful, more whatever we need to be the societal trend that's currently going on and to be accepted by our peers, we're going to see that they're being driven to purchase these products.
Is this detrimental? I've seen some articles saying, you know, like, oh, you teach them skincare. I've seen some articles saying like this is affecting their self-confidence. Mm-hmm. In what ways are we seeing it affect self-confidence, self-esteem, and at what age?
Yeah. Given that my specialty is in eating disorders, I think one of the big things we know is that the primary driver of that is body image concerns. And so anything that's focusing on appearance and ways to change our appearance or the need to have to change our appearance to be acceptable is really concerning. And so the fact that these products are coming out and are kind of highlighting this need of like, you're not enough as you are and we need to have these changes is really impacting their overall feelings of self-worth, could impact how they're seeing themselves and just overall self-talk, which can put them at risk for these other risky behaviors that could really impact their health. I think that being said, it is really about kind of seeking like, what's the motivation behind wanting these products? So if it's really, it feels good on my skin, like my skin's been really dry, I notice it's less itchy when I'm wearing these things, like we can absolutely say like, yeah, it's good to treat ourselves with self-care and this can be one of those items. But if it's really because we feel like we need these things to fit in or to look better, that's really where we want to start asking some deeper questions about how often this is becoming a concern and a focus of their attention.
What are those questions? Like, I mean, yeah. I'm serious because it's, you know, I have an 11-year-old and and a 9-year-old. The 9-year-old hasn't asked for anything yet, but the 11-year-old, she was doing it to fit in. Mm-hmm. We were out at a shopping center. She's with a couple friends. Mm-hmm. Her friends go, well, you have to have this thing at Sephora. And then she feels like, I don't have this one thing, you know, that all my friends have. Yeah. And as a parent, I stumbled. I didn't know what to ask and like how to approach that.
Yeah, I think a big part is just asking how frequently is this becoming a concern. So like, is this something we're thinking about a lot? Are we also like having peers making comments or making negative statements about us that's causing us to focus in this way? We know in general with the rise of social media that cyberbullying is increasing. And so I do think it's important to ask like, are other people saying these comments? Are we hearing these things, or are our friends having these comments made to them? And like really using that as an opportunity to educate around asserting for the fact that it's okay to not fit in and do the thing that everyone else is doing, and to again like highlight, how do I do this in a way that's for self-care and for uplifting myself as opposed to something that I feel like I have to do, again, just to fit some kind of standard that's been created.
Yeah. How do we set it up at home? Mm-hmm. Are they looking to us as to like are we supposed to guide them? Are they just looking for us as an example? Like, how do we set it up at home to be a healthy approach to self-care?
I think a big thing is for mothers to model how mothers and aunts and, you know, anyone that's in a young girl's life, and boys as well can face these stressors, is to really reduce focus on overall appearance-based compliments and to also focus on agency and things that they're doing and things that they do for friends, their kindness, and really focusing on that on ourselves too. You know, I think with the holidays coming up, it's really easy to like make quick jokes around like, I've had too many desserts here or done too much there, or like, or also just to like focus on wrinkles, or like, this is a common topic. Women tend to lean themselves into these conversations around appearance. Yeah. And so watching ourselves, watching our own language, and really minimizing how much we're really creating that as a central topic of conversations with those that we talk to.
I see on social media, I'm sure everybody else has, the generational conversation where the women are trying to evolve the way they're talking about themselves. But I'm sure, I mean, especially specializing in eating disorders, the illustration that I always see where it's the grandma is like, I have to lose 5 pounds. And then the mom says something similar. And we're trying to break that cycle of constantly focusing on weight and focusing on appearance. It's so hard to break that cycle because we tend to say things our moms and grandmothers said. I wish I didn't sound like my mom sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it slips out. I'm like, oh my God, I sound just like my mother. How do we break that cycle of saying those same phrases or focusing on appearance and weight and setting up our daughters and sons for healthy body image?
It takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And a lot of self-awareness. And I also, about watching what are we taking in and what are we observing? So much of just marketing overall is this FOMO, and that might be aging me, but FOMO, a fear of like missing out in terms of like, am I not doing the thing that's gonna help me to fit in and to be this part of this community? And I think for women in general, we really, really are looking for community. And a lot of times that means we have to fit these certain standards. And so then we are saying these things either to maybe get some like, maybe we're seeking compliments. A lot of times we're saying those things we want to hear like, oh no, and like, and really we need to realize like when we start speaking of ourselves and focusing on these other facets of like being kind and being thoughtful for other people and taking pride in the careers that we've maybe chosen and the other outlets that we're doing to really be a true person and not just this object to be objectified and evaluated in this way, it helps to model for our teens that they can also do that and that it doesn't have to be a central focus.
Yeah. So what kind of compliments? You mentioned earlier about the, like, not always complimenting appearance, but I feel like that's, just out in society, you say like, oh, I really like your bag, I really like your shoes, I like your outfit, or your hair looks pretty. I mean, we tend to compliment just naturally how somebody is looking. So when we're looking at tweens and teens, what language are we using?
A lot of it, I think, can be focused on maybe things that they're doing for their friend, right? So maybe there's an instance where their friend was really struggling socially, and then you're able to come along and say like, hey, that was really great how you were able to show up for your friend and support them in that way. Like, that took a lot of guts for you to be like that kind and like to speak out in this situation when others maybe weren't choosing to be kind, or to say like, hey, I've seen how hard you've been working on maybe this test, or maybe it's a piece they're doing for orchestra, or it's a sport that they're in, and really having this moment to kind of say like, I see how hard you're working, and really focusing on the effort and not just the outcomes. We know girls in general are higher emphasis on perfectionism and appearance, and so the more that we can really emphasize the progress and effort along the way as opposed to just a good outcome, and also you can still compliment appearance. Like, it's absolutely okay to be like, oh girl, you're looking cute. Like, that's, like, we want to encourage those kind of compliments because it's nice to hear that too, but just making sure there's a balance, that not every compliment that's coming is focused on appearance, that we're also taking the time to appreciate other ways that they're practicing their agency and seeing where they can excel in the world.
I'm glad you brought that up because I always struggled with that. I heard growing up, somebody had told my mom like, oh, you never compliment them on how they look. Tell them they're smart. But then I was thinking, especially with all of I know this might be taking it to the extreme, but you have online predators. Like if a girl, especially, never hears that they're pretty from their parents,
they're gonna seek it.
I don't want it to be the first time they are hearing it is by, somebody who's a predator or something, because would that make them an easier victim? Yeah. I don't know. Can you speak to that? I know that's taking it to the extreme, but it's almost like I don't want to never acknowledge like that I think this child is beautiful.
Exactly. I do think it puts us at risk, and like I do think that tends to then lead to this desire to like put images on social media that are going to get that reaction, and so then it may lead to photos that maybe they otherwise would, it doesn't fit their morals, and so like really trying to give that balance again of like, you can say like, hey, I really love that dress is a great color on you, right? Or these like compliments are great to give to other people. Like we do want to hear that. But also, again, just emphasizing that there are other ways of getting compliments, other ways that you have value, and then really having those explicit conversations around like, what does social media usage look like? I think this whole social media age and having kids, as someone who has a 4-year-old, I'm terrified of the day that she asks for a smartphone because it is a very dangerous world, and we know the statistics show it's most dangerous for our teenage girls. And so really being thoughtful on how we're monitoring their social media use, how much time they're on social media. There's been so much evidence to show that the more time you're on social media, the more upset, more depressed, the more body image concerns we're going to have. And so we just really need to be thoughtful about training them on how to use this media in a really smart way and being thoughtful of the messaging that they're taking in.
When would a parent notice that, especially with image, that it's becoming unhealthy? I can imagine, because I'm already kind of going through it, where, and we don't have social media, but it's the peer influence right now, where almost overnight it seemed like, I need moisturizer and mascara. I'm like, you're a little young for that. But, you know, there seems to be, from what I've seen with even my friends, where one day a tween looks like a kid, and then overnight they've been dabbling in products, and all of a sudden they're looking more like they're 18, 19, 20 years old. I know that's going to happen, but when does it start to be concerning?
It's really that crossover of how much time is it taking up, right? So when it's becoming a central topic of conversation, if we're hearing a lot of negative self-talk, if we're noticing there's been a lot of just isolation and time on the phone and seeking that social validation through social media and those other outlets, or if we're also maybe seeing a lot of commentary about how they need to change, that's when we really want to try to focus on the fact that, hey, like, where can we pull back on this and start working on shifting our focus in these other ways?
Yeah. So if somebody's watching this and they're a grandparent, a parent, and they're thinking, okay, I've already seen that holiday wish list, and it's filled with, you know, there is an age that it's not toys anymore. It is things from beauty product stores and clothes and whatever. I mean, is there a conversation, or do you let them indulge around the holidays? How do you approach that?
I think my general recommendation would be, again, just understanding the motivation. And then really kind of working with family to say, like, how do we have a balance? Like, if they want some skincare that we know is safe for them to use at this age, like, have at it, right? Let them have those items. But also making sure that we're giving some of these other items as well that can just, like, be more for fun or for means of, like, encouraging more social interaction.
Thank you to Dr. Caldwell for taking the time and giving her insight. And thanks to all of you for tuning into Mom Squad. You can follow us on the Mom Squad with Maureen Kyle Facebook page, as well as on Instagram at Mom Squad Show. As we kick off the holiday season, we hope your family stays happy and healthy, and we'll see you right back here next time.